Hi there. So I am now continuing with the analysis of the recent transmission, Crystalline Samhain 1111 Stargate, November 11th, 2019. So in the last part of the analysis, I was talking about the 1111 patterning, the twin flame unity fields, and explaining how this is not really anything to do with the Gregorian calendar. It's to do with the recognition of that and the date, but it's more to do with the astrology, numerology, mathematics, geometry. So that's all explained in the last part. So this is the next piece. Whilst the energetic is not created by any Gregorian counting system, the consciousness that is held within aware, star-seeded humanity utilizes the Gregorian calendrical system as the counting frame, as the true Mayan calendar system shines through from the multidimensional time clock that stands always in perpetual motion from the perspective of the cosmic moment, 21st of December 2012. So I'll break that down. Whilst the energetic is not created by any Gregorian counting system, so I've already discussed that. This is not a creation that comes from our Gregorian calendar. It's nothing to do with our Gregorian calendar other than it's the recognition of the date simply because of its number presentation. And that could be a time, it could be a number presentation on anything. It doesn't have to be a date. The calendar is just one presentation of that number. So it's nothing to do with the calendar itself. The consciousness that's held within aware star-seeded humanity, so that's all the aware and awakened individuals on this planet, utilizes the Gregorian calendrical system as the counting frame. So that's how we count. As I explained in the last part, we on this planet use this system to count the days. It's simply a linear recording. It doesn't matter if it's correct or not correct, or if it's not in alignment with the true length of time that this planet has been recorded. All of that's true. It's not in alignment with that. That's correct. But it is the calendar we use for our current counting system. That's all it is. The true Mayan calendar system, so the Mayan calendar system is the most accurate counting system, calendar system when it comes to the actual time span and history of this planet. It's the most accurate counting system for the length of time this planet Earth has been holding life, if you will. Shines through from the multidimensional time clock. So the multidimensional time clock is the true counting system, the calendar of the cosmos. One could also call it a cosmic calendar. Multidimensional time clock, cosmic calendar, same thing. And we do live multidimensionally within a time matrix. So the time clock is the counting system for the time matrix, the true reality. And the Mayan calendar system is the most accurate that we have within a third dimensional perspective of that time clock. That stands always in perpetual motion. So from the perspective of the cosmic moment, 21st of December 2012. So it stands always in perpetual motion. It stands in perpetual motion because there is no linear time. There is only one moment. And when you take that from the perspective of the cosmic moment, 21st of December 2012, now what that means is on the 21st of December 2012, that is an estimation from the higher perspective of when the cosmic moment would occur, when the grand awakening would occur, the cosmic flash, the solar light beam, the epiphany, collective awakening, the transition from third density to fourth density. Now, literally, it doesn't mean that everything's going to happen in one moment on the 21st of December 2012, as I've spoken about before. It means that the 21st of December 2012 is the culmination point, the final point, and a cosmic stargate like the 1111 portal and the Samhain portal and all the Sabbats, but a bigger one. This is probably the biggest spike. However, because that spike is so big, if you will, it encompasses many, many months or years either side. So the 2012 time period, with the central point being the 21st of December 2012, is just a central point of a large portal. And there are much smaller portals within that large portal. So you could call the 21st of December 2012 the cosmic Stargate within the time matrix, and the center of that multidimensional time clock. But within it are all these other spikes, all these other little portals, one which we are sat in within now, which sort of lulls around November 13th and sort of spikes again a couple of times at the end of November, beginning of December, but quite significantly around the 12th of December, and then more so at the 21st. So because the 21st of December 2019 links with the 21st of December 2012, every single 21st of December, every winter solstice will link with that cosmic moment, because it's a spiral from that point. But from the perspective of the cosmic moment, 21st of December 2012, that time clock's in perpetual motion, meaning when you come out of linear time, that cosmic spike, that shift from third density to fourth density is always happening. We're always in it. We're always in this larger portal. We are always in the 21st of December 2012 time period, time moment, and all that it stands for. So that's what it means by that time clock standing in perpetual motion. Energetically, we are in the 2012 energy. It's the end of the Mayan calendar. We've moved beyond the counting system of the Mayan calendar, and we are creating our own counting system. We have gone beyond that counting system. We're in new uncounted territory, if you like. That's what that means. What we do here is move your receptivity beyond the processing and understanding of the left-brained logical hemisphere into the feminine heart-centered knowing that is in full alignment with the 12-strand codex of the crystalline DNA field. So let's break that down. So what we do here is move your, so when they say we move your, that means the higher dimensional intelligence, the true memory, is working to move your receptivity, your ability to receive, beyond processing and understanding of the left brain logical hemisphere. Now, one could also say that you are doing this. You are moving your own receptivity beyond the processing and understanding of the left brain logical hemisphere. You are bypassing this mental mind analysis, linear perception, logical processing, and moving to the feeling, the knowing, the empathy, and all of the higher emotions that come with the bliss-charged love, and that is the feminine heart-centered knowing. So that's what's happening with the receiving of the message within this transmission. So what the 9 are doing here, what they're saying is what we do here, what the 9 are doing here, is aiming to do that with this transmission, the words in the transmission. And if you haven't heard the transmission, do go back and listen to it, because then you will actually get the energetic and the triggers that I'm speaking about. What the 9 aim to do, or what they are doing with that transmission, is moving your receptivity beyond the left brain, beyond logic, beyond thinking and analysis, straight to pure receiving of energy, feminine heart-centered knowing. And that is the deep memory that goes beyond memory. It's no longer linear. It's no longer something in the past. It's memory. It's knowing. It is now. I am now. That's the time clock, the multidimensional time clock, the sitting in perpetual motion, as in always moving, but always standing in it, as in one moment that stays and moves simultaneously, like the planet, like our DNA, like the cosmos, the geometric pattern of how reality works, like the toroidal field, perpetual motion in the still point. That's the 0 point. That is the central point of the matrix, known also as the pivot point and the nexus point. It's a point of no time, but it's also a boundary to time. And it is a boundary that creates a time bubble that's outside of time, if you will. And that's the portal. That is the portal. And it's a consciousness. It is a space within consciousness. So into the feminine heart-centered knowing that is in full alignment with, so very much in alignment with, happening at the same time with, in synchronization with, lining up with the 12-strand codex. So this is the multi-dimensional code as an entire structure in itself. So if you see code as letters and words on a page, the codex is the book or the series of books or the library. It's complete. A code is part of something. The codex is the completion of the code. It's more than the code. It's that which is containing the code. The 12-strand codex. So that is the full aligned realization of the DNA field in its completeness, the 144,000 complete quantum field that is the DNA codex, which is the 0 point, the central point, the nexus point. It is a time bubble. It is a piece of time held within a boundary that is outside of time and has no boundary. That's what that is. It's infinity. That is infinity. It's an infinite structure, and that's what your DNA is. That's what you are. So full alignment with the 12-strand codex of the crystalline DNA field. That's what that is. That bubble that I'm talking about, that portal, is the DNA field. So when I say to you, you are the portal, you are the gateway, you are the Stargate, that's what that means. You are that piece of time, that bubble of time that is outside of time, outside of linear time. You are the boundary of that is the boundary of you. And when you're in that 0 point, there are no boundaries because there is only infinity. That's what the 21st of December 2012 is. It's a cosmic moment. That means it's ongoing and infinite and always happening. It's always the 21st of December 2012 from that perspective, even though on a counting level, Gregorian calendrical system, it was the 21st of December 2012. And we link back with that moment, that cosmic moment, each time we enter these spikes, each time we go through these sabbats, and very much so on the winter solstice, which is coming up in December. It is after the receiving of the message and the code that the processing and understanding occurs within the logical left hemisphere of the brain center. So let's just talk about that. So you've received the message when you've listened to the transmission. You've received the code. This would go for any transmission that the 9 are presenting, whether it's on a video or in a book or any centered channel that is delivering this message and this code in this way, not in the same way that I do, but in a way that is quantum and holds depth behind the metaphor. So some channels will channel just the surface picture, like I said in an earlier transmission, Adam and Eve and the snake in the Garden of Eden is a surface picture, and you go behind that layer deeply into this fractal aspect of the metaphor, if you will, the first picture, to discover the truths behind it, and that is an infinite fractal in itself. So you would listen to any channel that's balanced and aligned, drawing down genuine higher dimensional information, and that individual would be working with that quantum level behind that first picture. Some channels just work with that first picture. Nothing wrong with that. That's a necessary job as well. You can see, as I said before, 20 different channels all showing that first surface picture. So you look at 20 surface pictures, and that will still give you a multi-dimensional picture, but you're seeing 20 different perspectives of the front first picture, if you will, the presentation. That's very sort of like the sun personality, the male personality, it's analyzed through the left hemisphere of the brain. The right hemisphere, the feminine, is what goes into this quantum field. And that is exactly the same as the DNA. That is why what is happening with the ascension process on this planet is the ultimate consciousness is of a feminine polarity. That's what it means. It's the subconscious behind the front presentation of the conscious aspect, the first layer. So you want basically a multi-dimensional channel who is working with the subconscious layers, the shadow layers behind that first presentation. And then when you receive that message and the code within that message, the processing of it and the understanding of it occurs within the logical left hemisphere of the brain center. That's when you need the male energy. That's when you need the surface picture. That's when you need the sun. So you receive it through the heart, the lunar, the subconscious, the feminine. You process and understand it through the male. So if you're really, really feminine and floaty and multidimensional, but you don't have much logic, indigo warrior aspect, you're not very assertive, you don't have good boundaries, you don't have good processing skills, then you'll just stay in the feeling state of, oh, I feel amazing, I don't know why. You know, I felt this portal, I felt this wonderful rush of 1111 energy, and it was all twin flame, and I spoke to this amazing being. I don't know what it all means, but I can feel it, and it's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. That's Krystal. That's a crystal energy. It's a feminine energy. That's the feminine. It's like we take it in, we receive it. We don't know what it is. We don't need to know what it is. We just know it's lovely and we want it. That's the feminine. You bring the masculine in order to decode that. So then you will have an aspect of yourself, or you'll be looking at a teacher that will be saying, right, this is what I felt and this is what I saw and it was lovely and this is what it means. And this is how it applies to me, and this is how I can apply it in my life, and this is how I can teach it in my life. That's the masculine. Now, if you only have the masculine, which is the surface picture, without the multidimensionality, the day solar awakening without the multidimensionality, you will be forever in a state of analysis without going into the feeling. So what you'll get is, well, this means this and that means that. And the reason why this is happening is because of this. And like, well, how do you feel? Well, no idea how I feel. I just know that this means this and this means that. And this adds up to this. So I'm going to do this. What's that going to do? I don't know what it will do, but it will occur with this and with that. Everything will be mathematical, precise, and mapped out and logical, because it's left-brained, and that's how most people are on this planet. Most people are locked within the left brain. So, and the system is set up for that as well. The system is set up to perpetuate the left-brained way of thinking, cutting off the feminine. So what you're actually existing with when you live within this system is an emasculated masculine energy. A true masculine energy must have the feminine. It can't be masculine without the feminine. The king and the queen are married. The male and the female are divinely intertwined, and it's got nothing to do with gender. It doesn't matter what your gender expression is, whether you're a heterosexual female, a heterosexual male, homosexual, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, transgender. It doesn't matter. You have all of these things within you and can balance those things within you regardless of your gender expression. That's important, because that in itself is something that's hijacked to confuse people. Let's hijack the balanced female, the grounded female. Let's hijack the balanced and grounded male. Let's emasculate the male by suppressing the female, and then any other gender expression that is a choice of merging that male and female expression in a unique way. Let's target them and let everyone else be prejudiced towards them. So you've got every single gender hijacked. And that's when we stand up and say no more. And it's the masculine energy, regardless of your gender expression, that comes in and says no more. That's the judgment, the indigo warrior. So you marry the two together, the feeling, the empathy that's floating around in a lovely feeling space. It needs the masculine to anchor itself. The anchored logical masculine that is walking along step by step by step, point by point by point, paint by numbers, left brain logic, needs the feminine floaty mystery feeling in order to create. The masculine can't create without the female. The female can create without the male, but she doesn't know what she's creating. If she's creating without the male, she can't actually manifest that creation into its fullness. There must be the masculine and the feminine in there. So the receiving of the message and the code comes in through the feminine, the heart, the lunar, the subconscious, the empathy, and the processing and the understanding of the message in the code occurs within the logical left hemisphere of the brain center. That's how you process. You do it through the logic. So that's why you might listen to the channeling, the transmission from the 9, and think, what was that? Sounds good, but I didn't understand a word of it. So the 9 go on to say, when the movement takes place this way, the endocrine system is brought into play alongside the neurotransmitters and brain pathways, bringing the pineal gland, that which you know as third eye chakra, into its fullest activation. So what I just said, as in you could receive the transmission and think, what was that? Didn't understand a word of it. The 9 go on to explain that that's okay. And that's often a necessary part of how it works. With me, I'll draw the channeling down and write it out or speak it out, usually write, and look at it and think, what's that? I don't understand a word of it. And then I process it after I've delivered it, and often after I've uploaded it, although that doesn't happen so much now, but it did in the beginning. I would upload videos that I didn't understand, but I had the knowing and the trust that they were in alignment. That's different from creating something, not knowing what it is, not really having any trust or any knowledge, and just uploading it anyway. You know, that's not grounded and that has no focus. So I still had the grounding and the focus. I just hadn't had the full processing. It came afterwards. So when the movement takes place this way, so when they speak about this as a movement, that is the receiving into the heart. So this is a receptive energy moving inwards towards you this way. That's the movement, coming in and coming upwards. If you want to give that movement a structure, the true structure is obviously the toroidal field, the pulse of the universal energy moving in its entwined, spiraling geometry, but we can see it as coming into the heart, receiving the feminine receptivity. When the movement takes place this way, so that's the receiving, the feminine receptivity up to the left hemisphere of the brain, and one then takes it into the pineal gland and starts to, I get it now. The epiphany takes place, the realization takes place, and that is what is the creation. So it's difficult to create when you're just feeling. We can create things, but we don't really know what we're creating because we don't even know what it is. It just feels great. All of a sudden, up it goes into the pineal gland, processing, epiphany. I know now, I understand now. Bang, you are in cohesion with the heart and mind. And that's the point of creation. That's when the pineal gland goes to work to create what you have just seen, should you want it to be created in whatever way you want it to be created. So when the movement takes place this way, the endocrine system's brought into play. So all the hormones, so you've got the pineal gland and the pituitary and the thyroid and all of the endocrine system, the adrenals, everything. So that's why it affects your emotions, your the physical body. All sorts of things can occur, like what is similar to a hot flash or a hot flush, we say in the UK, that a woman has. These are like heat waves. The 9 call these heat waves, and they're very similar to these hot flushes, but they're not hot flushes. They're Kundalini awakenings. They're different, and that's only one thing. All these things occur because the endocrine system is brought into play. But the higher endocrine system, as in it's working as an inner technology, sending out beams and signals, and it's brought into play alongside the neurotransmitters. So the neurotransmitters are messengers within the body, within the brain, passing information, but they don't just pass information through the body, they pass information into the cosmos, into the consciousness field, into the systems of others. They're all like little radios: the pineal gland, the thyroid gland, the endocrine system, the adrenal system. They're all technologies, like little aerials, if they're working right, all passing information through the body with the neurotransmitters and out into the auric field and into the consciousness, into the cosmos, into others. It's beyond your body. Brought into play alongside the neurotransmitters and brain pathways. So these are the synapses within the brain and the pathways they make when they connect together. So all of this is happening at the same time when you get the receiving of the message and the code, and then you process it and go into the epiphany. That's all happening in your body. Endocrine system wakes up, brain pathways start to form, and the synapses are firing, and the neurotransmitters are passing energy, and it's like all of you is awake. And that's when you send out this cosmic signal, and that is how you manifest. It's not just the mind, just the heart, just the hormones. It's everything, all of it in alignment. When you process the receiving of the aligned message and the code within it, you create a codex within yourself. You become the codex, and thus you become the portal, the gateway, or the Stargate. The Stargate is you. So when the movement takes place this way, the endocrine system is brought into play alongside the neurotransmitters and brain pathways, bringing the pineal gland, that which you know as third eye chakra, so self-explanatory, bringing the pineal gland, a little gland in your brain that you know as the third eye chakra, that's the chakra that's associated with that gland within the brain, into its fullest activation. The reason why it's in its fullest activation is because all the body is connected. So then it's ready to start to copy. It's a photocopier, it's a receiver, it's a microscope, it's a camera, it's a video recorder, it's a webcam, it's a computer. If you want to use technology, all of those things, it's a crystalline Stargate. It's amazing. Thus, the story can be presented to you in the unique style that is all that is you, and in perfect harmony with all that is you. So what that means is, when you take the message from this particular channel or from the 9, however you receive this multidimensional in-depth code within the message, you take the message into the receptivity through the heart, process it through the left hemisphere of the brain and the logic, and you go into this epiphany, this realization, and the endocrine system starts working, and the pathways of the brain and the neurotransmitters and everything, and you're in that full activated Kundalini awareness. The pineal gland is in its fullest activation. The story can then be presented to you in the unique style that is all that is you, and in harmony with all that is you. So the story of the epiphany and the realization isn't what the 9 said necessarily in the channeling. It's the code you receive from it and how you interpret it. So perspective and interpretation, when cohesive, is creation, because that's when you've got the pineal gland and all of the body into harmony and into alignment. But it's unique. No story will be the same. I'm telling you this now through my own inner technology. And you're listening to me, and you may be thinking, she talks such a load of nonsense, she's crazy. Or you might be thinking, wow, I really resonate with what Magenta is saying, or somewhere in between. The point is, it doesn't matter what I'm saying, you will go away because the 9 are speaking through me always, so that code is passed to you, whether it's a recorded transmission or an analysis by me, you will go away and that will come up, and it can be instant. You can actually get it while you're listening and think, I'm in that zone with Magenta, I'm resonating with Magenta the whole way along, and that's because it's all happening to you right now. You don't need to go away and process, because you're processing simultaneously to the receiving. It's all happening simultaneously. If you are a fast tracker, if you are going through Stargate ascension or accelerated ascension, that's what's happening to you. Those DNA filaments are all moving to their fullest, patterning all at the same time as embracing the 3rd dimension as well. Or you might be thinking, do you know, I kind of get what she's saying and it feels good and I'm resonating, but I don't really understand a word of it. I'm going to have to play this recording again. I'm going to have to listen to her again. I'm going to have to go away. Then that's okay. That's fine. It's no different. It's no better. It's no worse than knowing it instantaneously. The point is that you're receiving that code. It doesn't matter how you receive it and how you process it, only that you do. So you go away and you think about it and you process it and you listen to it again. I mean, this particular transmission, this is why I'm doing the analysis, because I had so many people write to me saying, I mean, one person said, I've replayed it like 40 times or something. They'd actually sat listening to the transmission while they were doing the hoovering and washing up and, you know, all the other household chores while they were listening, and kept listening over and over. That's a good thing to do. If you want those codes and you really want that processing and you haven't understood it, but you want to, one thing you can do is actually do sleep work with it, and put the headphones on, put the video on, and go to sleep and let it play and play and play while you're sleeping. It goes in deeply subliminally, and then you will process that in your own unique way, in perfect harmony with, in the unique style that is all that is you, in perfect harmony with all that is you. It's your unique creative template. As I said, as I speak now, I could actually say to you, Moon Goddess. And I might be thinking of a woman with long silver hair, a blue dress, pink shoes, and golden wings. But when I said Moon Goddess, you might be thinking of a dark-haired woman with dark skin and beautiful almond-coloured eyes, with black wings and a silver dress and black boots. You know, or you might even be thinking of a lion rather than a human, or an elemental, or a dragon, or anything. But it's the same code. It's the same code behind it, interpreted in your unique way, because the DNA works with this, and that is what the 9 call alphabetical numerals, or rather I called them alphabetical numerals when the 9 gave me the frequency that was a number and a letter simultaneously, neither a number nor a letter, but both simultaneously. I thought, well, what is that? There's no word in our dictionary to explain something that's a number and a letter simultaneously. So I called it alphabetical numeral as I was drawing down that interpretation. I now know that these are also known as fire letters and flame letters, which is kind of like an activated version of it. So that's what you're receiving and activating within you: fire letters, flame letters, cosmic alphabet. DNA is language, and you are activating the cosmic language within you when this happens, because you're doing it in a unique way. So it doesn't matter if you see a dragon, a dark-haired goddess, or a silver-haired goddess. It's the same lunar frequency. It's the same code, and it will activate the DNA within in that configuration, regardless of the symbol or deity or intelligence and how it presents. So we draw your attention to this intrinsic receptivity, for this is all that the Samhain Gateway 1111 merge is energetically: the moon cycle, without and within, the lunar aspect, the subconscious, the divine feminine as queen, princess, through key code, group soul presentations as planetary and galactic logos, Sophia and Aurora. So what the 9 is saying here is, we're drawing your attention to this receptivity receptivity I'm speaking about, the receiving of the code through the feminine heart. We're drawing your attention to it because that is the Samhain gateway, 1111 merge. 31st of October, planted the seeds, all the ceremonies, the full understanding of Samhain, Halloween energy. 1 week later, that went into its fullest manifestation on November the 7th. Then on November 11th, we have the 1111 spike, and that remained until the 13th of November, coming into this sort of processing period, if you like, before the next large spike at the winter solstice, and that creates a portal in itself. So this intrinsic receptivity is all that this is energetically. That's what it is. The moon cycle within and without. So we're talking about a moon cycle, literally, astrologically, the full moon, the new moon, that's the cycle, and within as well. So that's the cycle within. Now you can take that literally if you're female and actually liken that to your moon cycle, so your 28-day fertility cycle and your alignment with the moon. Most women who are aligning with this energy will line up, and they actually will have a fertility cycle, a menstrual cycle that will link with the moon cycles, the lunar cycles, and they will ovulate with either the full moon or the new moon, and they will you know, come onto their moon week, into their flow, if you like, on the new moon or the full moon. There are many different permeations of that, and sometimes women can slip out of that and move back in. Sometimes when women are working together in a unit, they'll all have a cycle at the same time. This is something well known amongst women. It's just a phenomenon that's been there for years and years and years. Well, this is the reason why. This is the feminine energy. The female, who is manifested because she's incarnated as female, is going to predominantly express that lunar cycle within her own life. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond the fertility cycle into the subconscious cycle. So what that would be is the subconscious dream world, and the processing of what's happening in the day occurring in alignment with these waves, which are actually spirals, which are actually toroidal fields, which are celestial movements, and all connected with the moon cycle, as I've said throughout this analysis. This is the feminine lunar energy. This is the moon energy. That's what's there right now on our planet within the collective consciousness of the star seeds. This is a moon and lunar energy because it's feminine. That's how this ascension is playing out predominantly. It's a goddess ascension. It's a goddess energy. It's a feminine cycle. The moon cycle without and within. The lunar aspect, that's self-explanatory. I've explained what the lunar aspect is. The subconscious, the divine feminine as queen, princess. So these are the feminine royal words. Now there's a reason why they use the royal words, queen, princess. This is to reclaim the true royalty. I've spoken about this before in other analysis videos when I've been analyzing the Nines transmissions, and this is very much laid out in the book, The Infinite Helix and the Emerald Flame. The royal code is the code that is held by one who incarnates in pure service. So that's service to others, positive polarization, in service to the whole. The royal individual has an activated chakra system whereby the pineal gland is able to move into its creational aspect and its analysis and receiving of the message. All of the bodily systems work in harmony, so that individual is telepathic, clairvoyant, mediumistic, clairaudient, all of those things, magical, however you wish to express it. That's the royal individual who is in service. And that's the queen, that's the princess. She's royal because she's in service. That's distorted on our planet. I know there is no royal family in the United States, but there is here in the UK. I'm not running down the royal family. What I'm saying here is that the system is distorted because what we have here in our country and in other countries is one idolizes the royal family, one worships the royal family, one gives them energy and they absorb it and take it. That's because it's a hijacked system that's been hijacked by the service to self factions and groups. I am not saying that every member of the British royal family is part of the Illuminati. I'm saying that the service to self factions created that system. That doesn't mean that star-seeded, positively polarized energetics are not being incarnated and birthed into that system. They are. So we have a mixed system that's predominantly a service to self system, but that's now becoming star-seeded, and that really started with Princess Diana. She was not of that service to self structure. She was a service to others, polarized individual, and so she created that energy when she moved into the royal family and you know, had her children. So that's going off topic somewhat, but the true royal is not to be, well, I'm a royal queen or a royal princess, and therefore I have subjects and they bow down to me and worship me and they do what I want because I am better than them. That's a distortion of the energy. It's incorrect. The true royal energy is, I'm here with these gifts that I have, with this mission that I've incarnated with, to serve all. So I humbly serve, not in a subservient way, in a controlled, maybe that's the wrong word, in a focused way, with boundaries. I serve humbly, for this is my mission. But when others take from your service, that's when you come in with your boundaries and say, no, you cannot take. I shall give you this, this, and this. You cannot take. Then the judgment, the warrior indigo energy comes in. When others do not take, they receive. So you are willing to give so others may receive. When someone takes, you haven't given. So it is not a balanced energy exchange. A balanced energy exchange is I give, you receive. When someone takes, you haven't given. So that is overstepping boundaries, and that is infiltration and manipulation, which is what the service to self groups do. So when the nine speak about the queen, the princess, the king, the prince, the lord, the lady, whatever it may be, they usually use queen, princess, prince, and king. They are reclaiming the energetics of the true royalty, which is a code. It is an indigo code. It is a violet code. It is a royal blue code within that spectrum. And that is the code for pineal gland activation, crown chakra activation, and the usage of organic inner technology. That is what the royal code is, and one utilizes that in service to the whole, to all, because when one does that, the whole can flourish. And each generation that is born to that society, that planetary society, expands a little bit further than the generation before. What's happening within the hijacking is we entrap this generation, and when they give birth to the new generation, we can entrap them even more, and we'll entrap them right from birth so that they never really grow past a certain point. And we make sure that parents, or you know, the generation that birthed this generation, are always aware that the way to create the next generation is to tell them what to do. And that's a hijacking in itself. And as you can see by the school systems, the educational systems, which are changing, and there are systems of light, but as you can see, that's how things are predominantly, or certainly have been, on this planet. We are the elders. We tell you what to do because you are children and know nothing. Whereas the true energetic is, as we are in service to the whole naturally perpetuates itself. And the new generation grows and expands with the new, flourishing, fertilized reality template. We put fertile soil if you like, into that reality template, so it may grow its corn and wheat and flowers and whatever. It, not necessarily corn and wheat, it's not very good for you, but you know what I mean. It may grow the plants so that they may flourish in the field, and therefore the generation aligns itself with the reality. And that's all to do with the DNA. If you are in a double helix DNA structure, a linear DNA structure, then you are just feeding back into the system limited and reduced soil that can fertilize only to a point, just enough to feed the next generation, and they will then fertilize the field to a point. Only when you flourish with the beyond the double helix, into the triple helix, beyond the triple helix, into the infinite helix, only when you move into that DNA configuration are you giving full fertilization to the soil so that the plants can grow in full bloom, and the new generation can blossom and align with that new vibration. That's third density to fourth density, and that's where we are, or third dimension to fifth dimension. That's where we are. We are in that movement right now. That is the ascension timeline, and that's the reason why the 9 bring these transmissions through. And obviously this one particularly is most significant to this entire movement. So we draw your attention to this intrinsic receptivity, for this is all that the Samhain Gateway 11 and 11 merges energetically. The moon cycle without and within, the lunar aspect, the subconscious, the divine feminine as queen princess. So we have discussed what the royal means and why that in itself is a code. The code queen, princess, prince and king triggers your memories. So you go away and like, princess, king, and that needs to be done within a humility vibration. It needs to be taken in as queen, princess. I own this royal code. I am in service with gratitude. It's not to be done as I'm a queen. I remember being a queen in Atlantean times, and I had a crown, and I had all these subjects, and I'm from a royal family. That's like, yes, you've got the activation right, and you got the memory right, but the interpretation of the memory is still in a linear sense, because you're still feeding into the royal system. That's the hijacked system. You need to move away from that and see, what is royal? What does it mean? What is a true queen? What is a true king? What is a true princess? What is a true prince? Move into the energy of that, and then you won't be sort of I'm a prince and you're not, you know, I'm a queen and you're not, you know, I'm above you. It's like we're all able to access the royal code, every single one of us, should we choose to do so. Or should we have created a mission that's in alignment with doing that? And you can change that mission at any time, because there is no time. You are always in that 0 point space when you move into memory and creation in a true and aligned sense. So the divine feminine as queen princess through key code group soul presentations. So key code, that is the code within the transmission that's a key. It unlocks. It's a code because it is to be decoded. It's a key because it unlocks. So it is a seed that opens, a seed that gives for you to receive. That's what key code means. Group soul presentations. So these are the collective consciousness presentations that individualize as one deity being or one cosmic master or ascended master. So that would be planetary and galactic logos, Sophia and Aurora. So the planetary logos would be Aurora and the galactic logos would be Sophia in this context, within this transmission and within this particular code. Other people may say, oh, Sophia is the daughter and Aurora's the mother, or Sophia and Aurora are the children and the mother is Mary or Sarah or Aphrodite. I mean, there are many different models, but in this code, in this particular model that the 9 are presenting as a activation tool, the planetary logos is Aurora and the galactic logos is Sophia. And Sophia is the queen. She's galactic. Aurora is the princess. She's the daughter of the flame because she's the collective consciousness of humanity. She's the one that is the expression of the humans incarnated in third density. And Sophia is the expression of all that is beyond that, if you will. So that's the end of this analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of triggers there, and I shall be back with more analysis until I continue to the end of this transmission. So thank you so much for listening, and I shall see you again. Bye.
In this transmission from the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of Nine, I, Magenta Pixie, bring forward information specific to utilising the rose gold flame as antidote to 5G, EMFs, chemicals, chemtrails, and similar. The presented template utilises the Schumann resonance, and the technique is alchemical unification. In this book, the Nine discuss synchronicity, discernment skills, and understanding of discordance and disharmony within truth and lightworker communities. They present a workable model of expression, assisting the spiritual explorer in creating a necessary toolkit. This allows the individual to construct a shield, bringing safety, harmony, expansion, and cohesive sovereignty into their own personal reality and their matrix field. I am pleased to present my new short book, The Black Box Program and the Rose Gold Flame as Antidote.